Well, hello there. Welcome back to another episode of Midwest Whitetail. We are officially kicking off our fall series here for the 2024 deer season, and we are all very, very excited to get this thing rocking. A couple of things before we jump into the show. We got a good one, but I just want to start with a huge thank you to all of you who have watched the Chasing November series. Season 9 was done incredibly well with Gavin's hard work, Rye's hard work. The whole team, obviously participated in making that series what it was. And the feedback you guys have given us, we couldn't be more thankful for it. And ultimately, one thing I wanted to say here, because we've got the giveaways running, we've decided to give another 7 days. So if you have not entered, please go check out the episodes. The giveaway details are extremely simple. All you got to do, go to the episode, go to the pinned comment. We've got the information right there. And as you can see rolling across the screen, there's some really cool prizes. Our great partners were super generous in donating those. And good luck in winning that. That's a great way to start the season. So officially, Chasing November Season 9 has come to a close. It's now time to turn attention to focusing on creating Season 10. And Lord willing, we have a great season ahead. A couple of things going into this fall that I want to bring to your attention. The Midwest Whitetail Daily channel is no longer. The content will still be there, but we will not be posting on that for the future. And some of you may have already seen it, but we are now posting here on the Midwest Whitetail YouTube channel. There's a playlist called The Chase, and that is going to be the replacement. It's going to be a once-a-week video from each team member. And so the posting schedule for all fall is going to be Mondays are going to stay the main show. Tuesdays will be Caleb Greiner. Wednesdays will be Owen Riegler. Thursdays will be Mike Reed. Fridays will be Zach Rozmus. Saturdays are going to be the office guys, so Rye, Gavin, some of the interns if they get out and hunt. And then Sundays will be my videos. And so we're hoping that that is going to be a series that gives you a little bit more of a behind the scenes look. We really would take all the feedback and engagement that you guys can put onto those videos of what you want to see. And I'm just personally excited to get a deeper look at what the guys are doing each week. 3 regional shows each week as well. That can be found on the Midwest Whitetail Regional Series. And then we're going to get to work on the After Hours podcast. And just like that, fall's beginning. This show, we're going to jump into it right now. Gavin put together a super cool highlight that hopefully will fire you guys up for fall. And then we're going to dive into some new farm stuff, some big bucks, some hit lists. Mike, Zach, and Nolan Redeker do a great job on this episode to get me excited and just continue to look for these shows. So thank you so much for being here. Hope you guys are getting ready for fall if your seasons aren't already open. Let's get to it now.
We got him.
Thank you guys for coming out. That's what makes it really special.
The pinch strikes again, baby. Dude, it's October 30th.
Like, it hasn't even hit me yet, but we just had an epic hunt.
I can't believe that worked. I can't believe that worked.
Oh my gosh, dude. I'm just so shook up right now. I can't even.
You can feel the blind shake.
That's the deer I've been in here after all year, and I can't believe it.
See what they can see all the way around this. Lay with the wind at their back, looking down the hill. Of course, there isn't one laying here, but
supposedly we have the match. I don't know. Justin's been known to pick up sheds and, think they're a deer. Look at there. That is a slammer.
Yes, that's the 2-year-old you want. Right there.
I'll try to hold the end here and then we can just.
That's the one we're looking for.
Yes, sir.
Is that moss?
That's moss, yeah.
Yeah, I knew it.
Is this the 3-year-old?
Yeah, this is the young one.
Nice.
I think there's no way he's older than 3.
This is primarily for that swoosh deer. The swoosh project starts right now.
I wanted to create a water hole in a location on my farm that I thought was being underutilized. It ended up being a bigger project, a bigger undertaking, and I couldn't be more excited with how it turned out.
I think we're gonna go ahead and roll the dice, calling for like 70–80% shot. So it's a hot one today, but it'll still be fun. This is the work right here you do for the fall that pays off come hunting season, so gotta get it done.
Get out of my way, boy. We got work to do.
Well, we just pulled into this new farm of mine, this 76-acre piece.
Putting a lot of work in over the last few weeks around the farms after work, heading out, getting everything ready for our fall food plots. Got monster buck rut greens, and I'm excited to talk a little bit more about Moss today. You know, he's still kind of one of the main bucks I'm thinking about targeting this year.
We're standing back in where all the plans are being laid for this drought time buck. We've got this monster buck, rut greens mix plus cold climate, and so it is the time to make hay while the sun shines.
First picture that I've got, sticks his back, and he's a tank.
Day 2 of putting out public cameras today. We're gonna start out with the good stuff. We're going straight to where Heinz was last year.
What you think, Rye?
You know I love this farm.
I love this farm too. Clear that out real good. Try it. Here, let's see.
Right, there you go.
Hey, good one. We shall see. That tree, we're able to see out into the CRP, and then this little finger's gonna be dynamite. Oh yeah, look. They're already tearing it up. This is like the edge of the old railroad. And so it just goes. But you can see where they're coming up and out right here. In the afternoon, we need to hunt the other side with the thermals, but well, as you guys can see, it's been a super busy summer here for the Midwest Whitetail team. Lots of projects getting done and some good velvet bucks on camera. Excited to see how this fall turns out. Little update from me. I haven't been on the show in a while and wanted to introduce a new property for this fall. It's one that I alluded to earlier in the summer. For you guys that follow along, I bought 76-acre farm this past spring. I sold my farm down in southern Iowa, the 52 acres. I did a 1031 tax exchange, bought this 76 acres at auction. The property to the east, I mentioned how it would be just a game changer if I could somehow acquire that someday, and the opportunity came up. And so I got access to it in July, and it is 114 acres. 60 of it is in CRP, and it includes that big draw that I mentioned when I talked about the 76, that there was a big draw just off the east side of that property, clipped the northeast corner. It's a major hub for all the deer bedding and deer activity, or at least I expect it will be. And so now I'll have access to both sides of that draw, and I have access to both gravel roads, so I have access from the east and the west for hunting, which is going to make a huge difference. So this side of the property is interesting in that it doesn't really touch the road. There's an owned access lane that's 35 feet wide, but it's buffered from the road, so the whole thing is really huntable, and you can't see any of it from the road. It all rolls down into that big draw. It's nice and divided up by different draws, and so it's essentially 3 big CRP fields that are separated by wooded draws that all flow down into that main draw. And I mean, the two sides together, I just think it's hard to find a better layout for a property. It's got about 15 acres of tillable and then some more tillable across the road. But the neighbors around here have major big ag fields, so there's plenty of destination ag where the deer will come out of those draws and work their way up to these big crop fields. So super excited to think about what's going to be in here. It's an area that's, like I mentioned before, it's not too far away from the river bottom, so I know a lot of the neighbors. It's a good co-op of landowners and land managers, deer managers, so it's exciting to think about what we might be able to produce out here. I was able to get an excavator in here, and I started working on the creek crossings. I'm going to put 2 creek crossings in to be able to have a loop of travel throughout the property during hunting season, be able to slip in based on north winds or south winds. And then I came in the day after I got access to it and put in 4 little bow plots. Being the end of July, I wasn't able to do beans or anything like that, but there was a few spots that a couple times I had walked through the property with the owners, had noticed where there was a gate gap or a little clearing that was naturally in the timber or a little spot outside of the CRP. So I was able to get in here, mow the plots off, sprayed them, and then came in and drilled the monster buck rut greens with cold climate. And they came up nice. And then there was one plot that we did after all the others down on the creek bottom. I had to get in here with the skid loader and actually clear about, I don't know, I'd say 80 feet or so through the timber down into that little opening. That's a killer spot. A lot of these spots I'm really excited about. I think they just set up super well for never really being on this property. When you look at the aerial, you know, think about how the deer are gonna move through it. I think all of them are gonna set up super well for archery hunting. There was one little food plot way in the back, a 1 acre plot that was sorghum in the past and had a wooden box blind on it. So I did convert that for late season into one larger rut green spot, and I'm gonna get a redneck blind in there. I was able to do some velvet filming out here, and there's a couple good bucks already. And then today we came and finally put out cameras. It's September 7th. I mean, I could see myself hunting out here this fall with some of what we've seen already, but we'll get a better inventory and make some decisions on that as far as hit list goes. I'm still trying to get cameras out on the home farm, on the river bottom farm. Been way behind between work and travel and different things with the family. Way behind compared to most people, compared to most years, but that's okay. There's still enough time. Right now my goal is to get cameras out and try to locate some bucks for youth season. Youth season opens up in a couple of weeks, and the kids are already super excited to get out there. I'm gonna be tackling the home farm this week and then the river bottom hopefully tomorrow. And speaking of the river bottom, we got a couple of cameras out on the north end. If you guys remember, this past spring in May, it went underwater, and so I picked up all the cameras and just got them cleaned up at the house, fresh batteries put in, just haven't been out to put them back. I was hoping to find moss back after we put food plots in, and we set up, I think, 7 or 8 cameras on the north end. Lo and behold, moss has showed back up, so he looks good. He's always looked good. You guys always fuss at me for passing him for the last 2 years, even when he was a 3-year-old, and he has that awe-inspiring look about him. You know, when you see him coming through the woods, those big giant brows, he's always had good mass. And this year he's made a nice jump. He's kind of throwing little splits, and he's got double drop on the right now. So he's a really cool looking buck. He's only on one camera a handful of times. Like I said, we're gonna be strategizing a little bit around the river bottom farm, getting more cameras out, and then there's a bunch of other bucks I'm looking to find back. We've had a couple other bucks show up on the feeders throughout the summer. That buck we call Tiki, he'll be a 6-year-old this year. And then Tony's also at least 6. He's one that Rye thought about shooting last year, and he's added some really cool character points to his bases. And I'm sure once we get cameras spread out, you know, this time of year when they're doing their shuffle, they're rubbing their velvet off, the river farm usually picks up a lot of bucks. They're not usually there in the summer. really looking forward to seeing what shows up on both properties. If you guys want to follow along with the development of all these projects amongst the different properties, you guys heard that we're doing this new weekly series as opposed to the daily channel. We're calling it The Chase. Basically a diary or journal of our actions throughout the season, pre-season, getting ready, our thought processes. And so all the things I'm getting done on these different properties, we're going to be producing that every Thursday for my particular episode. And you guys can follow along there. Next, we're going to join Zach and Nolan as they give us updates on some of their properties and on their hit list. Thanks for joining this week. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the show.
Angle might have been off just a little bit. All right, guys, welcome back to a season of Midwest Whitetail. It is the 2024 season, and it wouldn't be September if we weren't talking about the hit list. I think about 2023, and during this time last year, I felt like I had a longer hit list than I've ever experienced. There was targets galore when it came down to it, lots of mature deer, different farms that I had access to. It seemed like every single one of them had an opportunity at different mature deer that were in the area. Where fast forward to this year, you know, we've had a really green season when it comes down to it. Lots of opportunity for rainfall. It seems like mature buck activity has been extremely slow. They're not having to move very far when it comes down to it for food and access to water, so that might be limiting our opportunities for them to walk in front of trail cameras or just sightings, because a lot of times with the amount of time that we're spending on farms for land management, you know, sometimes we're seeing these deer when we're out and about as well. But as I sit right now, there's been one buck that showed up, and he made a big jump compared to last year, and it wasn't really a deer that I thought was on my radar right away. It was a buck I called Werthers, and I had an encounter with him right outside the Mobile Command Center last year, and he made a huge jump, and he made it threw off a couple drop tines. He's a world-class deer. He's going to be a fun one to hopefully have as part of my story as one eye, so it's always kind of cool to have that as an old mature buck with one eye on the farm. And so he's on Area 52. To date, Pretzel has not showed up. You know, I'm not sure if that deer's alive. You know, I knew that in the past that deer was not, you know, only living on Area 52. I know that I was right on the edge of his core, and that was one of the reasons that played into me trying to enhance some of the acres that I did and putting the pond in the location that I did, is that not for that specific deer, but it just so happens that that was the reason, or that was one of the areas where I was encountering that deer the most on trail camera and also in person. One thing's for sure, no matter what, I'm going to find time to get in the tree. You know, I think I have all the faith in the world that there's going to be a mature buck to get after, because ultimately that's always my goal going into season. I love the opportunity to target specific deer when it comes down to it and develop my plan to, you know, match their personalities, because each and every one of them is just a little bit different. But I have all the faith in the world that there's going to be a mature deer to go after on one of these farms, because not only do I have access to Area 52 this year, I also have, my wife and I have actually closed on a second farm. So we had the last chance property, and that's what I'm going to refer to it as. And it's a small piece. It's a 25-acre piece, but I think it's got a lot of potential, specifically during the rut. There's some really cool pinch points. It seems like a good travel corridor. There's been no shortage of deer showing up on camera. Not a lot of mature bucks, but that's a really exciting part of my story moving forward, and that's something I'm be excited to show everyone, you know, in the coming weeks.
Well guys, welcome to the show this week. I'm standing in the U plot right now, something that we've been working on all summer, and finally, as you can see behind me, it's got some green in it, which is really exciting. Unfortunately, here in Kansas, we haven't had great weather for food plots. I planted these plots in between two really big rains, so it had plenty of moisture going into, but then we had 2 weeks of 100-degree weather, and that really hurt it. So in places it's doing pretty good, and some places it's not doing so good. I think I'm gonna come in here and maybe work some of the ground back up and go into maybe some winter wheat and some oats There's been a couple bucks that have shown up throughout the summer, just been through one time a piece. And with that said, I've decided I'm gonna kind of copy Mike and Zach and pick a theme for names on this farm. And I've decided I'm gonna do cartoon names for all my bucks. So I have had a really big 6x5 that showed up a couple weeks ago, or I guess about a month ago in early August, and I'm gonna call him Snoopy. Really nice deer, seems to be pretty mature, and is a buck I'm looking forward to hunting this fall. And another one is a big 8-point. I haven't came up with a name for him yet. Those are the bucks that I'm excited to chase here. I think I'll have a good chance of some other ones showing up. But we've also been getting some good bucks on another farm. Dad hunted them a lot last year, and there's 2 really nice deer there. One is a Big 10, and Dad got close to killing him several times. I went with Dad and filmed that buck a couple different times throughout the season, once in October and a couple different times in December. But that's a buck we're really looking forward to hunting this fall. But another buck on that same farm we call the Flyer 10. He was there a lot last year as well, and Dad had some really close encounters with him. We filmed him once briefly back in December, but Dad saw him several times and got close to killing him several times, so that's a buck that's on his list. But besides those 2, we've had some other really good bucks showing up throughout the summer, just nothing quite consistent yet. So we're hoping here as the crops come out and we get closer to that October time frame, that's usually when we have bucks on our farms really start to stick around for the rut. So with that said, we're really looking forward to this fall. I'm really excited to share my experience here on my own 40 acres. It's been something I've looked forward to my whole life, and it's going to be a really fun fall hunting bucks here. But I hope you guys are getting some good bucks on camera and are gearing up for this fall. It's going to be an exciting year. Yeah, good luck this fall, and thank you guys for watching.